It's time for another DX Engineering social media show on Facebook and YouTube. Today is Thursday, so that means Thursdays with our manufacturers. And today we have John Kruk from Yaesu USA. Hello, John.
Hello, Tim. How you doing?
Great. It's super to have Yaesu on the show today. So much to talk about, John. Let's talk about the special promotions that you've got going on right now as we speak here for the month of December. Tell us what's really special and you know, the great deals.
Yeah, well, of course, the greatest time of the year is this year because you can buy new toys and we always have specials on them. And some of the big specials that we actually have going on right now actually cover a wide variety. Is probably one of the biggest I've seen in quite a while, ranging from not only some great HF radios, but also VHF, UHF mobiles, including our new ones that were just released, as well as some handhelds on there that actually a lot of people I think may have forgot that they actually make on there. So to kind of start off with the HF line, we have a special right now on the FTX1 Field. Right now we are offering an instant coupon with that radio. Moving on to our VHF UHF mobile line, we have the FTM 510 series, which is in both models, the non-ASP version and the ASP version. We have a special on the FTM 150 in the regular and the ASP version. In addition, we also have a special right now on the FTM 310. So our newest C4FM Yaesu System Fusion dual band mobile. There's a special on that one. There's some still specials on the 3165, 3185. And like I said, on handhelds, this was kind of an interesting one. We're offering specials on the FT5, the FT70, the VX6, and the FT60, the tried and true FT60 that, a lot of people, and we've asked, you guys are still making that? Yep, we're actually offering specials on all those different radios right now.
John, I mean, I really want to encourage people to go to the DX Engineering website to see all the specials that you've got going on right now. But let's go back to the VHF UHF radios, and you talk about a feature that is really impressive, and that's the ASP. Tell the listeners or our viewers about ASP.
So what ASP was is we got a lot of complaints of people saying, I want a good VHF UHF radio, but I want it to be able to hear really well. I want to, I'm getting into Simplex. Simplex seems to be very popular again, which is totally, I think it's totally an awesome thing, especially living here in northern Wisconsin, where we may not have repeaters for a while. It's great to do Simplex. What ASP is, it's combined with what we call our SDX function. So the radios now have this great option in there, even if you don't have ASP. We'll get to that in 1 second, called SDX. And what that does is when you activate that on any of our radios that currently have it, and all of our VHF, UHF mobiles currently have it on there, it actually increases the receiver sensitivity. So it doesn't turn down squelch, but it makes that receiver, in essence, we could say, a little bit hotter. Now what ends up happening, and I even have my little box of it here that we were doing some educations. That's how small it is. It's a little chip that fits right into the radio, and it's the ASP, which stands for Advanced Signal Processing. And what we did is we took the concept of what a digital noise reduction, digital noise filtering, digital signal processing for audio from our HF line, put it into a chip that you can either purchase it right away, that's the ASP version, or if you want to, saying, you know what, I kind of wish I would have bought it that way, you can buy that chip at a later date and install it in there. And what that does is it cleans up that audio. So once you bring in that signal on an analog signal, you don't, you get the little bacon frying, maybe a little like noise in the background. That ASP functionality just cleans it right up. And we did an example of this at the Huntsville Ham Fest last year. A lot of people said, we don't believe it. We had an antenna connected to it, listening to actually the National Weather Service. We unscrewed that antenna right off the back of it. And then with it just sitting in normal mode, it wasn't receiving a signal. We turned on SDX. We got about maybe an S1 on the meter of it barely breaking through, but you could still hear it, but it was really scratchy. Once we hit that SDX button again, that turned on the ASP and SDX function. and that cleared that signal right up. People were amazed. They're like, it's like I'm standing right next to the transmitter there. And it's so great, especially if you're in a simplex.
That is really incredible stuff when you talk about, you go SDX and then then you put the ASP on top of that. John, is there any chance, like, if I'm in New York City or Los Angeles or Dallas, Fort Worth, that the overload capability of the radio is affected in any way with those functions?
And, that's a good point, Tim, because, one of the things that you got to understand with ASP and SDX is, they're pulling in that weaker signal and cleaning up that weaker signal. So if you have too strong of a signal, yes, it can cause some issues. Or if you have a little bit of a weaker signal, but strong audio, then sometimes, adjusting maybe a digital signal processor might cause an issue. However, we thought of that. So on radios like the new FTM310, you can actually turn it into auto mode. And what will happen is that the radio will monitor the audio and signal level that it is receiving. And if it falls below a threshold on the radio, it will automatically engage the SDX and the ASP, or if it's meeting that above that threshold, it's not going to do it. And I can speak from personal experience traveling around Chicago here this past kind of fall time on there. I was driving around, and sure enough, I had to keep hitting there. And I says, you know what, John, you got auto on there. Push it, turn it on auto. And I can tell you, Tim, you can hear the difference a little bit with the signal processing, but I never lost a signal driving through interference of Chicago.
That's a really good acid test, John, to let auto make that decision, right? On how much to use the DSP that is involved with SDX and ASP, and this is a feature, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but this is a feature that is exclusive to Yaesu radios.
That is correct. It's only exclusive to us, and like I said, people said where did it come from? And we have such high quality HF radios, and so many people said, using the DSP function in the radios, especially like our FT710, and they said, having this digital noise reduction and everything, why can't you bring that to VHF, UHF? And we said, why not? The analog user still exists, I tell you, in the VHF, UHF band, and we want to make sure that they have a pleasurable experience using it.
All right, so let's. I'm going to go back to VHF, UHF, and let's talk about the digital formats. We've talked about analog. Let's talk about the digital formats. You mentioned C4FM. What about the other formats? What are you doing there?
So right now we utilize C4FM and FDMA. We call that Yaesu System Fusion because when we came out with it, 2012 is when we actually put it on, as we joke around, put it on the napkin that day in the office to kind of come up with it. We wanted to use something that gave people high quality digital voice audio, but was also easy to use. Every single digital voice mode has sort of like a little niche to it of what it can do. What we wanted to do is we wanted to say people that want to have that clarity, want to be able to use digital voice, want to have features of digital voice, such as showing call sign and everything. That's where Yaesu System Fusion was there. Now, the reason we call it Yaesu System Fusion is all of our digital voice products are, once again, backwards compatible, but also allow integration. Our digital voice format is the only technology out there that allows you to transcode at an infrastructure or user level. And what I mean by that is that let's say you have a repeater. Well, maybe there's analog users and maybe there's digital users. Well, the repeater can automatically switch back between whatever mode is being used on that repeater, but it can also be set up that if you need to phase in a repeater for people using digital, you can have that repeater have digital and analog come into the repeater, and the repeater can be set to automatically put it all out on analog, all out on digital, or once again, as we call it, AMS, which is automatic mode select. So that's where our digital voice comes into play. But all you do with the Fusion radio, you put in your call sign the first time you turn that radio on, and to speak digital, all you simply do is push the button to change the mode to digital, key up and talk, or push the button to change back to FM. You don't have to do with anything else, such as call signs or codes or colors or anything like that. So it's the easiest digital voice mode out there.
Well, and that's a big deal, John. The complexity of some of these formats and radio setups, I mean, and there always can be little hack programs and so forth that try and simplify it, but that complexity really gets in the way of the unboxing experience, right? You take the new Yaesu out of the box, and you want to plug it in and get on the air and work, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to have to, watch this YouTube video and I got to call up my buddy. Let's get into clubs for a second and let's talk about the Yaesu repeaters.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the one, the situation where you can do digital and analog on the same machine. I mean, your support and actually the advancement in that area has been really good. And there's a lot of clubs that, are maybe even still thinking about a repeater and why they, I think it's important, John, that you relate kind of why they should always choose Yaesu and the System Fusion and your products, for their club.
Well, and that's a good point, Tim, because you bring up a couple of things that people always ask us, like, why should we choose your repeater? Why should we choose this? We are an amateur radio company. That's what Yaesu is. While we do have some, we have a marine division and we have an airband division. Our focus is amateur radio, and that's what we spend our research and development on, and that's what we build the radios for. And in this case, we've always wanted to make our ecosystem, whether it's HF, whether it's VHF, UHF, whatever the case may be, we wanted to make it easy. And then we also wanted to make it versatile and flexible. As a matter of fact, Fusion was built off of three main principles, which actually was kind of brought over from our HF line, which, first of all, it has to be high quality voice. And with Fusion, it was high quality digital voice, but the audio performance of our radios have to be there. Second, it has to be easy to use. If something's not going to be easy to use, you're not going to want to use it, right? Plain and simple. And then the other thing is it always has to be flexible and versatile in nature. We want to be able to have those people who just do simplexes. I was talking to a customer yesterday. He lives in the northeast part of the United States. He doesn't have a lot of repeaters, so he has a great simplex setup on VHF, UHF. He wants to do it. Let him do that. Compared to the people that want a repeater, you want an easy repeater, it's able to do that. And the other thing too that we like to pride ourselves on is we have education about our equipment. So if you have a question, I answer questions all day long. Operation, we do our podcast, we do our educational webinars and stuff. Like we just did one on the 310. When the 310 came out, we actually had 2 classes one night that people were able to come in, and we gave a quick overview of the radio. So we are here to support the amateur community with our products.
Oh, that's great stuff. And I want to go to the chat room here real quick, John, because there are a couple of comments that I want you to have. XE2ZZ is on with us today. KE8 Charlie Victor Alpha. Kilo Golf 2 Mike down in Florida. He says he loves his FTX1 Optima and the mobile. So big shout out there. And of course, KK4 Echo Kilo is on with us. Our friend Mike, KE3JP from Greenville, Pennsylvania, and said should have a cheaper wires X capable radio that works with the HRI 200. We'll put that on the list. We got W7JET on here, W6CRT. He says DMR and D-Star, they give me a headache. And then Terry says our club has the digital net. Love Yaesu. And Terry KTIH is in Bowling Green, Ohio. So great stuff, John. Again, I want to remind everybody, go to the DX Engineering website, check out the promotions. John just rifled through, 10 or 12 radios that all have a December promotion on them, all have a sale price. Now is the time. If you're thinking about Yaesu, now's the time to buy, right, John?
It is. And Tim, I'd also like to point out those are instant savings we're passing along. We're not doing mail-in rebates because we had a couple of people, oh, it's a mail-in rebate. No, we're passing the savings as Yaesu directly onto our dealers for them to get you into those great radios on there. So no worrying about buying the radio and sending in for a gift card or something 6 to 8 weeks later. Save your money now. And you know what? Why don't you use it to buy some Yaesu accessories?
That's it. Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. John, thanks so much for coming on today. It's always great to talk to you. I want to get in depth with some more of the new radios here. We'll have you on again soon. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks, everybody.
And thanks all of you for watching. I hope you learn more about the fantastic radios that Yaesu America, Yaesu USA is bringing to DX Engineering. Go to the website, click on those instant savings, and get yourself a Yaesu radio for Christmas. Until next time, 73 from DX Engineering.